Ladies and gentlemen, Democrats are going to impeach President Trump. The Senate is going to, basically, the Senate will not convict President Trump. It's a Republican Senate. And it's over a phone conversation that Democrats say is an example of quid pro quo. He tried to strong arm and leverage another country to help his election chances. Number one, Hillary Clinton's running. That's absurd. Even Trump knows that. That's why he sent out that message saying, yeah, you know what, maybe we need a rematch, or you need to, and then she said, oh, don't tempt me. Do you think that do you think that is not fabricated, but do you think that's not premeditated? If I know that Clinton's running, don't you think that President Trump knows? Do you think President Trump's worried about Biden or Bernie or Warren? No. So the notion that he was trying to investigate Biden to help his election chances is nonsense. But here, Ukraine's Volodymyr Zelensky says he felt no pressure to investigate CNN. Ukraine President Zelensky, I feel no pressure to investigate Biden's. C-SPAN, same thing. Ukraine President says he felt no pressure. Ukraine's Poroshenko, so the president before Zelensky. Former Ukrainian, this is Los Angeles Times, former Ukrainian President Poroshenko says he felt no pressure from Trump. So what are they doing? They eventually got the assistance anyway. What are Democrats doing? The Ukraine got the hundreds of millions of dollars anyway. There's no pressure. No pressure, says both Trump and Zelensky. CNN. It's like, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. Los Angeles Times, there was a Ukrainian president says there was no pressure in Trump, no leverage in Trump phone conversation. He keeps saying there was no pressure. Okay. So is Zelensky and Poroshenko both in on it? If Democrats are saying they have evidence that will lead to impeachment, first of all, they're going to impeach Trump in the House. They voted today to start the process. They're going to impeach Trump. They were going to impeach Trump the day he became president. None of this. The Democrats never ever had any moment where they weren't trying to remove President Trump. They know they can't defeat him at the ballot box. The smart Democrats know that Clinton's running again. This actually serves as the perfect tool for Clinton, because impeachment comes in, and she could say, well, you know what, this implicates Biden also. He has a lot of issues, and I can come in. I might have issues, endless litany of problems, but at least, Biden has the recent issue with the Ukraine. I mean, it was a lack of judgment. Clinton literally said, well, you can question his judgment. Well, there you go. So she goes after Trump with this nonsensical story. Or at least, look, this was brought up in the Obama administration in 2015. According to Congressman Devin Nunes, the Clinton campaign brought this up to ensure that Biden would not run in 2016. But the issue here is done. There is no issue. Okay, Ukraine President Zelensky, I feel no pressure to investigate Biden's. No pressure, says Trump and Zelensky. So, Ukrainian President Zelensky denies Trump pressured him to investigate Biden's son. This is Time magazine. By Tara Law, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky sat beside President Donald Trump on Wednesday. This is September 25th, 2019, as he denied that Trump pressured him to investigate former Vice President and current 2020 presidential candidate Joe Biden's son for his work in the country. Is Adam Schiff calling President Zelensky of the Ukraine a liar? Are you calling him a liar, Jerry Nadler, Chuck Schumer, Nancy Pelosi, Hillary Clinton? It's bad enough that Biden was bragging about getting the Ukraine to fire one of its prosecutors. It's bad enough. And you have all of these people who they pick and choose the value system. So when it's McCain or when it's this National Security Council lieutenant colonel, oh my God, you cannot. I mean, I didn't agree with going after McCain ever, especially even when I was a Democrat in '08. And Democrats were the most vile and just underhanded regarding McCain. They went after him, and then when Trump did, it was like, oh my God, Trump, he has no morals. But what happened with Tulsi Gabbard? She's a veteran. She's a veteran. She's in the military, and she fought for our country. What about General Michael Flynn? He's a veteran, Lieutenant General Michael Flynn. So they set up and Andrew McCabe set up and framed General Michael Flynn. Tulsi Gabbard has been honorable, as has General Michael Flynn. I wrote in the Federalist that Flynn should be pardoned. That's below in the pinned comment. But what did Tulsi Gabbard do? So she's a Russian operative? That's okay to say? But it's not okay to question somebody who disagrees with Trump's foreign policy. Who cares? You work for the Trump administration. Where were the people who disagreed with Bush and President Obama's foreign policy? Where were these wonderful, amazing, courageous people? Why didn't they come out of the woodwork? So the whole thing's nonsense. They are literally going to impeach, and the Senate will not convict. President Trump will not be removed from office. He didn't do anything wrong. It was a phone conversation where even within the conversation, he never says, if you do not do what I ask, you will not get the money. With Democrats, it's, well, the uranium one didn't sign an agreement, or the Clinton Foundation didn't sign an agreement saying we will accept the money and then help push the sale of 20% of U.S. uranium capacity. You can't prove anything. Well, why did Uranium One give money into the Clinton Foundation? Why didn't they give money to Trump? Here we have like all of this stuff. Like Democrats are the ones through Clinton. Okay, the golden muumuu is linked closer to Putin than Trump or Tulsi Gabbard or Michael Flynn or anyone who is accused of being a Russian operative has. Ever. They've never had the ties that Bill Clinton met with Vladimir Putin outside his home. That is a fact. And that is a fact. So, Bill Clinton took a $500,000 speaking fee from a Kremlin bank. See, the thing is, you have to understand something. They don't care. You can literally tell this to somebody who doesn't like Trump. They will not care. They see the world through the vantage point of CNN. Thankfully for the future of the country, there aren't enough people who see the world from the vantage point through the lenses of MSNBC and CNN and the Washington Post and New York Times to win in 2020. Trump's going to defeat Clinton again. They have nobody else. They never had anyone else, and it was always from the Steele dossier to this Ukraine conversation, which I can't stress this to you enough. This is all over. Time magazine, nobody pushed me. Ukrainian president denies President Trump pressured him to investigate Biden's son. This will be, I will put this in the description of this, the pinned comment of this section, of this segment. And he goes, I think, okay. I think you read it that nobody pushed me. And so you have people who are saying, well, yeah, Zelensky was pushed and he was pressured. And Zelensky then says, no, I wasn't pressured. So then what are we debating as a country now? The leader of the Ukraine and the former leader of the Ukraine both said they were not pressured by President Trump to do anything. Biden had a conflict of interest. Why is it that anything that has to do with Democratic Party wrongdoing, misconduct, potential criminal activity is seen within the paradigm of, oh my God, you're trying to tip the scales? Meanwhile, you have MSNBC, CNN, the Washington Post, New York Times, all of this media machine that couldn't stop Trump, and they won't prevent Trump from winning in 2020. The vitriol, this is the interesting thing that Democrats don't understand. Their vitriol, like the people who didn't vote for Trump just have even greater contempt for him. That's not enough to win an election. And nobody cares about their contempt because they have no value system. This is the MC Breed, Ain't No Future in Your Frontin' election. One of the great musical artists of the 90s. One of the great rappers of all time from Michigan. MC Breed. Great song. Ain't no future in your frontin'. Democrats, it's our future is only frontin', and the new Democratic Party remix, all we do is pretend we're something we're not. There is future in our frontin', and it's not it's not the case. Zelensky and Poroshenko, the two leaders, the prior president and the current president, said categorically there was no pressure. You know that song Under Pressure by Queen? This is under no pressure. There's no pressure here. There's no leverage. There's no quid pro quo. There's no, nobody was forcing anyone to do something they didn't want to do. Otherwise, Zelensky could have simply said in the conversation, hey, you know what? We feel pressured and that's it. So you would have to, Democrats are going to have to, the Democratic Party would have to assume that either Zelensky is in on it or they care more about Ukrainian politics than the Ukraine's own president. I mean, how arrogant, how much hubris, how much arrogance do you have to be? I mean, the Democratic Party is, they've created their own world, their own reality. Russia hacked the DNC because they were so afraid of Clinton, yeah. And that showed embarrassing emails, but not, sure, they cheated Bernie Sanders, but you know what? Who cares? It's politics. And Bernie doesn't care. But what was really bad was that Russia hacked the DNC because they were so afraid of Hillary. Meanwhile, they have all the goods on Bill. The Steele dossier was like basically an autobiography or a biography of Bill Clinton. I just can't tell you how much I enjoy those wonderful fluids in the morning. Enjoy the visual. So give me your thoughts below. This is a really, really important segment. Okay? Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. This is a really important segment. The basis of this, the allegation is refuted by the people who were allegedly blackmailed or leveraged or pressured. So Democrats are speaking for the Ukraine. Think about that for a second. Think about how insidious that is. They're saying that Zelensky, President Zelensky of the Ukraine, well, we're not going to really listen to him. We're going to create our own reality based on pauses and moments and different phrases. Whereas we're going to ignore Joe Biden bragging in his own way, in his own hilarious, cringeworthy manner, where he's like, yeah, here's $1 billion. No, you don't fire that person. Well, we're leaving now. Let that, make sure that prosecutor's not there. Well, call Obama. He says all of these things. He says all of these things. I mean, and he's clear and proud and completely like it's right there. The quid pro quo is right there. You do this, and then you'll get the money. Trump never said that. And then there's documentation. It is a fact. The old prosecutor was going to go ahead and was engaging in an investigation of Hunter Biden's, the company, paying him millions upon millions of dollars. There's a conflict of interest there that Kenneth Vogel, brilliant journalist, first for Politico, now the New York Times. I think perhaps the only brilliant journalist at the New York Times, the only true journalist. John Solomon at The Hill. James Risen basically chronicled what was taking place in 2015, and then wrote an Intercept article saying, I didn't really mean that. And then he goes, oh yeah, but the leverage that Biden imposed was not based on self-interest. Well, how do you know? It could be that isn't it always interesting that U.S. foreign policy under President Obama oftentimes correlated with the conflicts of interest of people within his administration. Oh, cash flow at the Clinton Foundation. Well, that's funny. President Obama didn't veto the sale of uranium. That's bizarre. Oh, that had nothing to do with that. If that happened under President Trump's administration, you better believe people would connect a million dots. Then it's, Biden's son is working for a corporation being investigated. Oh, that's nothing to do with it. Nothing to do with it. Give me your thoughts below. Check out H.A. Goodman's other channel. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below in the pinned comment. And ladies and gentlemen, the leader of the country that is said to have been leveraged or that is said to have been forced to accept a quid pro quo arrangement literally stated he didn't. There was no leverage. There was no blackmail. There was nothing. He didn't feel pressure. And still, Democrats will use this to impeach Trump. It's all to pave the way for Clinton. Clinton's running, people. And, I like to pat myself on the back. Yeah, I get, but I also take a lot of heat for it. But it's not about being right about something. It's about understanding this overall picture. Everything from the Steele dossier to this impeachment is for one thing and one thing only: to promote a political machine run by two people. Okay? The Golden Moo and her husband. Give me your thoughts below. Thank you so very much.